Oh my God. You guys come and sit down and shut the door. Maurene Comey has been fired. I repeat. Maurene Comey has been fired. This is the same girl for the Diddy trial, the same girl for Epstein, and the same girl for the same Maxwell. Now listen, we gotta talk. I have never been one for deep state. Y'all know I like to talk mess. But I've never been one for deep state. But you guys, what is going on? She was fired, but not for the reason you think. We're gonna go through all the articles. We're gonna figure out what's going on. But let me just say this. And I'm just going to say it. This makes me actually believe that this Diddy trial was a setup. Now hear me out. I know there's a lot of people that weren't in the courtroom. I know there's a lot of people that read the
and no
inner
longer
city
has a
press,
voice who will pursue
his live
justice for her accusation.
I know there's a lot of people that follow
As of
along,
the taken against
but let me
Diddy,
tell you something.
no expansion of the investigation,
I was in the courtroom
no
for
isolation
7 or 8
orders,
weeks,
no
and there were
equipment
dumb
access,
people.
no
Lie.
suspension of attorney
Lie.
communication.
Because I gave y'all my opinion of what I saw and heard. But let me tell you this. I saw, and I'm just putting it out there, and this goes into my larger theory, I saw the passion Maurene Comey put into her arguments. She was the best prosecutor out there. She literally put her heart and soul into those arguments. At one time, she had to look like she was about to break into tears. When I tell you this was personal for her, it was personal. And I don't look at that as a negative thing. I know people he said, why are you taking it so personal? What is wrong with y'all that the world is burning? And y'all want to play it cool. This is not the time to play it cool. Rome is burning. And if nobody told you, Rome is burning, and you are not Nero watching it burn. You are Nero sitting there in gasoline draws. We all need to be concerned that the world's burning. But hear me out. Maurene Comey put her heart and soul into those arguments. So when people said, oh, I think that she threw the case. She's James Comey's daughter. I said, maybe, but it might not have come across in the tweets. It might not have come across. But in person, if you were in the courtroom, you felt her passion. You felt it was personal. So I always was like, I don't think she's actually going to throw. I don't think she's throwing the case. Now, what I will say is I thought they ran out of money. When Damian Williams was the head of Southern District of New York. Let me just say this. I'll be quick and then we're going to get into the articles. And I'm going to tell you what I think is going on. Damian Williams was head of Southern District of New York. When the Diddy investigation started, he was the one that authorized the raid. He was the one that flew special teams over to London. I heard they were maybe planning on going to BS. They was ready to take Diddy down. And then what happened? Think about it. What happened? When did the case slow down? When did the case lose funding? When did they start taking people off of the case? Because you need a lot of resources to take people down for a RICO case. When did that happen? Think back. And this might make some people upset, but I'm asking you to just withhold judgment until I get through the end of the point. When did that stop? I'll tell you when it stopped. Trump out of the blue said, I don't think Damian Williams is doing a good job. The biggest case of Damian's career was Diddy. They were flying overseas to take that man down. This was going to be an epic RICO's case. Trump then said he was going to fire. And if you're MAGA, just let me finish. Okay, let me finish. Because there's a connection. And yes, it has to do with the Epstein thing. The way Trump's handled Epstein and the way Trump handled the same Maxwell. And I swear to God, if Trump ends up hardening, just saying, Maxwell, we're going to have an issue. So listen, all of a sudden, Trump says, I don't think Damian Wilson's doing a good job. Damian Williams, all of a sudden, he starts like fighting with the Trump administration. Trump then tells Damian Williams and everyone that effective immediately,
and no longer has a
gonna let
voice
him
who will
go in a little
pursue
bit
justice
and
for
hire
her
his guy.
accusation.
It was a
As of
literal
the Aiken
start
against
date.
Diddy.
Damian Williams
No expansion of
resigned
the investigation.
before his firing
No
date.
isolation
Trump
orders.
put his guy in
No
the
equipment
Department of
access.
Justice. I'm got
No
Department of
suspension of
Justice
attorney
and the S
communication.
has that new head of the Southern District of New York. And then all of a sudden, the Diddy case slows down. The Diddy case gets stalled. The Diddy case loses funding. Coincidence? Maybe. But now that we see what happened with the Epstein list, the way they're saying that the Epstein list never existed and we're being stupid and we should just move over, and now that Pam Bondi, who's being dragged left and right, looks like she leaked to political, that Maurene Comey was being fired. I have to really ask what is going on. There are too many things on top of that to say. Maxwell said she's testifying in front of Congress over what really happened with Jeffrey Epstein. And think about it. They're saying Jeffrey Epstein didn't have a list. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. Okay, an innocent man off the himself, right? The Justice Department released a video that 24 hours ago had a minute listing missing, and now it has 3.5 minutes listing missing of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide, right? All this stuff is going on, and the Justice Department, and you thought, and I kept thinking, I think they're gearing up to pardon Maxwell. Because if Jeffrey Epstein didn't have a list, and he was completely innocent, and all this stuff happened, then why is Justine Maxwell in jail? And Justine Maxwell just said, I'm going to testify in front of Congress and tell what I know. No, she hasn't been pardoned. We don't know what's going on. But let's also not forget, right? Listen, because what does this have to do? Who said this? The Crash Out report said it has to do with Epstein and trying to please MAGA. But here's the thing. I don't think that he's trying to please MAGA anymore. He is on MAGA's ish list. MAGA is sick of Trump right now. I think Trump is just trying, and his people around him, there's something bad going on. Because also with the Pam Bondi thing, Diddy and Epstein were super tight. I've always maintained that I think Diddy looked at what Epstein was doing and was like, I can do this better and do it cooler. There's a tie between Diddy and Epstein. It just strikes me as odd that all these people are now either going to be pardoned. They're now innocent. Jeffrey Epstein, there was no list. There was no this. And then the White House is telling us, and now Pam Bondi has directly from the top fired Maurene Comey. But why did she fire Maurene Comey? I know some people are going to be like, oh, it's catch what happened in Diddy trial. I'm telling you, I was in that courtroom. Nobody is that good of an actress. Mimi Triritz, it seemed personal. At one point, I was like, does she know someone close to her that went through something like this? Did she go through something like this? It was very, very personal. It didn't come across in the tweet. That's why there was such a disconnect between people that weren't really in the courtroom and people that were reading what's going on and the people that were in the courtroom. The people that were in the courtroom, most of them had the different opinion about how well the government was doing. That's why it was shocking that the jury came out with the decision they did. And it was shocking that the government didn't have more information. But when you look at the fact that Trump put his people in charge of the Department of Justice, and then they short-circuited the budget for the Diddy trial, because they were going overseas to London to BS. It was even in the New York Times, they started an investigation in London. They were planning to connect his World Wide Web, but of course, they ran out of money. Let's get to the Maurene Comey thing, because Pam Bondi has had egg on her face all week. The Trump administration, MAGA is so angry at the Trump administration right now. Okay, it's like you can't play in everybody's face
Present.
like that.
And no
the
longer
fact
has
that
a voice who will pursue
now
justice
Pam
for
Bondi,
her accusation.
not only do they fire
As of the
Maurene
Aiken against
Comey,
Diddy. No
but they
expansion
point
of the
out that she
investigation.
was the person
No
in
isolation
charge
orders.
of Epstein
No equipment
and the
access.
person in
No
front
suspension
in
of
charge
attorney
Justine
communication.
Maxwell, but Justine Maxwell is in jail. So how did she have a defeat with Justine Maxwell? Justine Maxwell is in jail. Jeffrey Epstein, he was suicidal, but he was on his way to jail too. The only person that escaped through their clagras, right? Barely, because Diddy does have 2 federal sex crime convictions, is Diddy. But let's not forget that Trump, and there are no actions. Let me tell y'all something. The White House controls every single question that's asked in that press pool. The fact that Fox News stood up. Trump and Fox News are like this. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter or not. Y'all know that Fox News and Trump go together real bad, right? They're like this. A Fox News reporter stood up in a press conference and said, what about, and I think they were talking about, like, I don't know, peace talk. Something really, I forget what they're talking about, but it was some international story. And you got the nerve to say, what about Sean Diddy? Is there any truth to the fact that you're going to pardon him? And he was like, yeah, if he's treated unfairly, I will pardon him. Nobody listen. I know a con when I see one. I know a setup when I see one. I know a soft launch when I see one. And that was a soft launch.